10 minutes before trading my fingers. By sparks of timeless inspiration. Hunger. It's a beast with a guttural growl, clawing at the insides like a desperate animal trapped in a pit. It feels like it's been ages since I could just walk into a kitchen and silence the beast with a sandwich or a leftover slice of pizza. But here, in this cold, unforgiving place, there's no fridge to open, no cupboard to raid, just the echoing emptiness in my stomach and the stale, musty air. I'm not alone in this dank, dimly lit room. There are 9 others, each with their own set of sunken eyes and desperate gazes. We don't know why we're here, or what this thing wants from us. It's not human, that's for sure. It speaks in a way that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand at attention, a voice that could make you believe in devils or dark deities. Offer your fingers, and hunger will no longer be a problem, it said, its voice slithering into our ears like a serpent promising forbidden fruit. What kind of choice is that? A gruesome barter between starvation and mutilation. I can't help but laugh, a hysterical sound that bounces off the walls and into the void. It's not a decision anyone should have to make. These hands, once instruments of creativity and connection, now tremble with a primal understanding. In this grim place, they're not appendages of expression, but mere tools for survival, stripped of their past purposes. The air is thick with suspicion as we eye each other warily, the close quarters intensifying our mistrust. Each of us harbors a story untold, a life unlived, but the fear of betrayal keeps our lips sealed. Trust, once freely given in the world above, has become as scarce as food and water here. A solitary figure, known to us only as Gray, mutters about potential weak points in our cell, a loose bar, a crack in the concrete. But his words are for no one's ears but his own. Cooperation is a risk few are willing to take when the price might be a knife in the back as you sleep. Tensions rise as hunger gnaws at our insides. Desperate eyes follow the shivering form of a young man named Carl, who hides something beneath his ragged shirt. Speculation runs rampant. Is it a weapon, a stash of food, or a figment of our collective paranoia? The creature that holds us here seems to relish our discomfort, the way we flinch from one another's touch and jump at shadows. Its many eyes never blink, never miss a moment of our growing desperation. In the dim light, the smallest of us, a girl with haunted eyes named Lila, is caught trying to pry open a panel. Her actions draw silent, sharp attention. No one moves to help. No one moves to stop her. Each of us is an island, and her fate is her own to decide. The creature hisses with delight, a sound that skitters down our spines. Clever girl, it mocks, but not clever enough. The panel snaps shut, trapping her fingers. Her cry is a knife edge of sound that cuts through the stale air. Lila's pain is her own, and yet it serves as a grim reminder to us all. Our bodies are currency, and pain is the only coinage we have left. We avert our eyes, but the image of her trapped hand sears itself into our minds. A grizzled man we've nicknamed Scratch begins to speak of forming alliances, his voice a gravelly whisper. But even as he plots, his eyes dart around, ready for the first sign of treachery. His words are a gamble, and we all know the stakes. The creature's taunting continues, but there's a subtle shift in the air. It's as if our captor senses the change in our dynamic, the precarious balance between cooperation and chaos. It watches, ever patient, ever hungry. A plan is hatched in hushed tones and furtive glances, but it's a fractured scheme, born of desperation and steeped in doubt. We are not a team. We are a powder keg of self-interest ready to explode. As the hours tick by, our situation becomes no less dire, but the fear of turning on one another keeps us in check, for now. We are survivors, but only in the most individual sense. Then it hits me, a moment of clarity in the fog of hunger. My fingers are my life. I look at my hands again, and in a moment of sheer desperation, I choose. I choose to live, whatever the cost. And now, here I am, about to willingly destroy that part of myself. The cold metal in my hand feels alien, a stark contrast to the warmth of blood coursing just beneath the skin of my other hand. The creature watches with an inscrutable gaze, its silence a loud echo in the cavernous room. I hesitate, the blade hovering just a hair's breadth away from my skin. The faces of the others are turned away, each lost in their own nightmare, but it's my decision that hangs heavy in the air. With a trembling breath that I fear might be a sob, I press the blade into the flesh of my left pinky finger. It's a surreal moment, as if I'm outside my body, watching someone else perform this grotesque act. The resistance of tendon and bone is sickening, but I push harder, determined to prove to this creature, or perhaps to myself, that I will not be conquered by the primal fear of death. The finger falls, and for a moment, time stands still. There's no sound from the others, no movement, just the rush of my own blood in my ears and the thud of a small part of me hitting the ground. The pain screams through my consciousness, a brutal reminder that I am still very much alive, for now. One by one, I removed all the fingers on my left hand. I don't have anything to remove the fingers from my right hand, so I do what I must. I place my wrist between my teeth, and for a fleeting second, I catch the eyes of one of the others. There's a glimmer of something there, pity, horror, a reflection of our shared hell, and then it's gone as I bite down. The taste of iron fills my mouth, the crunching sound more deafening than any scream I could muster. It's an act of barbarism, of desperation, a fall from the grace of humanity into something primal and grotesque. I work quickly, too quickly, as adrenaline pumps through my veins. The pain is a white noise that fills my senses, but I push through it, driven by a single-minded need to survive. Each finger is a battle, a victory tinged with loss. When it's done, I'm panting, my breath's coming in ragged gasps, and my hands are ruined landscapes of what once was. The entity takes the fingers. As I watch, dazed from my own loss and the lingering pain, the others start to vanish. One moment, they're beside me, their eyes wide with fear and indecision. The next, they're simply gone. No sound, no struggle, just the empty space where they used to be. Their disappearances are staggered, each one sudden and silent, leaving a growing void in the room that chills me more than the cold air. Then, it's just me and one other, a woman with a steely gaze who had kept to herself, her lips moving in silent prayer or perhaps a curse. She's in the middle of a sentence when it happens. Her eyes meet mine, a silent plea, or maybe a farewell, and then she's gone. There's no flash, no spectacle, just the blur of something unseen, too quick to be caught by human eyes, and she's taken from this place, leaving me utterly alone. Silence settles like a heavy shroud, and in that silence, the creature returns. It doesn't walk, it simply exists in one moment and is present in the next. It brings with it a tray, the metal gleaming dully in the dim light. On the tray is meat, cooked, seasoned, an aroma that would be mouth-watering if not for the horror that grips me as realization dawns. It's too neat, too deliberate. It's them, the others. Eat, the entity commands, and despite everything, my stomach betrays me with a growl. The words it had hissed before echo in my mind. Hunger will no longer be a problem. I understand now. The creature's twisted promise was not of relief from our pangs of hunger, but of an endless supply of this macabre feast. The ultimate price of survival is consuming the only people who shared this nightmare with me. I stare at the meat. The betrayal of my own body's needs wrestling with the revulsion coiling in my gut. I'm no longer sure if the growl of hunger I hear is mine or the beast within, lurking, always waiting. It's clear now that the beast was never just the hunger, it was also the part of me that would do anything to survive, even if it meant becoming something unrecognizable, something monstrous. As I sit there, with the grotesque offering before me, the thought creeps into my mind, insidious and unwelcome. What if I had hesitated? What if I had held on to hope for just a moment longer, clung to my humanity with the same tenacity with which hunger clung to me? Perhaps then, I would have been the one to vanish, spared from this abominable existence. It's a thought that haunts me, more than the ghostly silence or the ever-present gaze of the entity, the possibility that in my haste to live, I've condemned myself to a fate far worse than the death I so feared. The end.